Welcome back. We are on X Spaces on YouTube and Facebook. Now, let's start from the office of EOCO because fans of Ghanaian dancehall star Shatta Wale, known in life as Niyama Mensah, they've stormed the Economic and Organized Crime Office in EOCO in the capital, Accra, demanding his immediate release and denouncing his intention as unfair, accusing authorities of targeting him and vowing to protest until he's freed. Now, as such, some supporters for dancehall artists are currently staging a live jam at the EOCO head office, chanting "No Shatta, no vote," as the artist himself remained in custody, yet to meet his 10 million cedi bail bond. He's being held over investigations into some tax obligation of a yellow Lamborghini Euros seized in August 2025 by EOCO and the U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation in a wider fraud probe. According to his management, the artist voluntarily reported to EOCO on Wednesday, August 20, with his lawyer, Cephas Bayo. We will take you live to the EOCO head office shortly. But first, let me bring you excerpts from the EOCO and Organized Crime Office statement detailing how and why the dancehall musician has been detained. And that is what you have on your screens now. So what you are seeing on your screen is the reason why EOCO is holding on to Shatta Wale, and the reason why he is going to some kind of investigation. And this is the justification EOCO is providing for keeping him in custody until he's able to meet the 10 million cedi with two sureties bail condition imposed on him. And he was taken into custody yesterday after investigators concluded their investigation around 9 p.m. But he was unable to meet the condition, the reason why he's still being held in custody. Well, Shatta Wale's media and public relations manager, Sami Fles, has been providing some explanation on the artist's EOCO detention.
After interrogation and everything, Shatta Wale is not involved in any money laundering, just as some people are putting out. Those are lies, total falsehood. They are not true. Shatta Wale is not involved in any money laundering. Shatta Wale has not involved himself in any criminal act, as some news portals, some credible news portals are putting out. They are all falsehood. They are all lies. Shatta Wale has not involved himself with anything. Shatta Wale went to EOCO, defended the fact that he bought his car, and I'm sure EOCO has issues with how he paid taxes on the car he bought, and that is what is in contention. What is in contention is the fact that, okay, you bought it. How did you take care of the tax obligations around the vehicle he bought? And of course, when it comes to issues like this, now they'll be asking questions about your companies. How are you doing? How are you running it? How are you running your companies, your tax here and there? And these are the issues at the moment in contention. And trust me, Shatta Wale and his lawyers are running it, and we are sure going to work this out as early as possible.
So what is the latest? Let me take you live to the EOCO head office now, where supporters or fans of Shatta Wale, they've massed up there. My colleague Kenneth Jesse is there for Joy News and he joins me. So Kenneth, is Shatta still in the custody of EOCO?
Well, because we are outside the premises of EOCO, we do really not know what is inside there. So we can't tell whether or not he's still there or has been taken out. But if you come to the outside of EOCO, it's a mini concert actually. Most of the fans say they came here as early as 5 a.m. and they are calling for the release of the dancehall star. Now they say that he's not guilty, he's innocent. He is innocent of the charges that EOCO is being proffered on him, and they vowed to stay here until he is released. Now, the crowd keeps increasing by the minute. We've seen a group of supporters coming in the last 20 or 30 minutes ago, also throwing their support behind him. We've also seen some other high-profile persons also coming. Musician and producer, a Bullet of Rocktown Records, came in not long ago. His manager, whose video you played moments ago, well, he came in with some men who we believe are his lawyers. So as it stands now, we do not know whether he's been released or not because we are outside here. But of course, the fans are marching up. They've been here since 5 a.m., insisting that they are not leaving. until their dancehall king is released. And I have some of them here who want to share a word or two with me. You're live on Joy News. Let me use this microphone. This is the microphone. You're live on Joy News. How long have you been here?
I've been here since morning, about 5 o'clock that week. We are here because of our boss, I'm the SM Soldier. My name is SM Gaza. Yeah, we are here because of Wale. Yeah, what we want to tell SM, the EOCO boss is, we want him to leave our boss for us. Onja your boss, Mayan. Onja your boss, Mayan. Onya Bonnie. Somebody from Pua. Also, we invite Mr. like one black. Oh, I know looking at it. You probably want my more. I'm a discovery. I'm with the more. Munjaum. My husband was right then. Yeah, because I'm on Bedano.
Okay.
247. I'm in Jawaya, my young cop. We still here. I'll let the release Wale for us.
Okay, we have more fans here. Do you know why Shatta Wale is being kept in EOCO custody?
Since morning, we never heard from anyone yet. So I don't know the information now. But we are here for Shatta Wale. I mean, no, someone in the airport, so what's the American say? Scanner, almost say, Wale in Fiana, the Charlie, slow, we know there, or say, on Motiso. Because Wale on airport for what's the American say, it's also a Motiso. But I don't know. They say, Wale in Kano, making a near to say, oh, I damn and them great. See, I'm going to say, Shatta Wale or Akuma Street, you know. On a boy street, you may be Abba, you're funny charge, you transport service, Abba, or the Abba Bagana phone support to me who said that Burgess, Bibopra, Tambo Passer, Calais, Mommy and support here, brother, and before the charge in what I said. Or the Abba, Mamma, which you to be my head. I is my ring.
You think he's innocent? You think he's being innocent?
You don't know. We go by the rep. The rep where you buy, they say the stolen car. Stolen car where you buy, no, you don't know. You be third person of the car. So as you buy the ref, no, you may not talk, oh, the car is stolen car. Right now the car is stolen car. We already confirmed the car is stolen car. What if you say you buy the car $150,000? So right now when you buy the ref, you not still am. You buy am. You not still am. I like.
You know, buying stolen goods is an offense, right?
See, well, you don't know. Is this a street where we did? Dubai, but like I said, oh, she see me be trap on top. Oh, Dubai, oh, can I say? You have, if you mistake, and then like you say, mistake, you have.
But EOCO officials are saying that he's not able to show who the car.
You don't know. He said the way them call him school. Charlie, I want to tell you, where what I say. Make them snap the car, them smash on the car is nice, I don't buy. You like it sometimes, I hear the Ghana market for time. Oh, I wouldn't be to me for say, oh, Charlie Coffee, I don't be was still like hell for me transcend. Any Jima ultimate, I don't like. Why they not do anything? $1 million, we not go pay.
Okay. Elton, so those are the fans here who are so demanding for the release of Shatta Wale. As you heard them, they say the dancehall king is innocent. They've maintained that he's innocent. Most of them have left their businesses. They say that they are not going to leave here until Shatta Wale is released. Most of them say they work their own businesses. Most of them are entrepreneurs. Some are even students. They've left campus to come support Shatta Wale, to come show him love. And they are increasing by the day, insisting that Shatta Wale is innocent. So he is. As you can see and hear, at the premises of EOCO, their supporters are not relenting. They will not leave until the dancehall star is released. So these are some of the things here at the EOCO headquarters in Accra.
Right. So Kenneth, you earlier on spoke about some musicians who have also come to solidarize with Shatta. Are you able to tell us some of these musicians?
Yes, so we have Rock and Bullet and Rock and Spain, the CEO of Rocktown Records, is come here and play to enter the premises of EOCO. We don't know what he went to interact with them about. Right now, we've seen one person that they say he's called the Brad. He's also been allowed in the premise of EOCO, and of course, Sammy Flex, who is the manager of Shatta Wale, has also made his way into the building. So these are some of the notable names who have been allowed into the premise of EOCO, and of course, the streets have been blocked.
Well, let's see if we can bring Kenneth back, because there are still few issues that we need to cover. The EOCO statement was quite clear that it is actually up to Shatta Wale to meet the bill conditions so that he can work, at least for now. And the bill conditions include 10 million Ghana cedis. According to EOCO officials, in the statement that they released about 3 hours ago, they concluded their initial investigation or initial interrogation with Shatta Wale around 9 p.m. yesterday, and then they left their offices around 11 p.m. Niyama, known as Shatta Wale, was granted bail around 9 p.m. shortly after the interrogation. He was granted bail of 10 million cedis with 2 sureties to be justified. And once the sureties are presented, EOCO says that they will undertake surety inspection, which is a standard protocol, after which Charles Niyama will leave custody. Now, we are told that he is still in custody, and it's unclear whether they are verifying the sureties or he's yet to meet the conditions itself. The matter in question is a Lamborghini vehicle, and the EOCO statement also provides some response they got from Shatta Wale to the effect that Shatta told them that he doesn't know the whereabouts of the person who sold him the vehicle. He doesn't have access to the person's telephone number. He bought the vehicle from the streets, and few other comments that he made. And so these are the things that we are getting. Charles Niyama again says he does not possess any documentation in terms of receipt or transfer documents which shows that he owns or purchased the said vehicle, except a custom declaration document in his possession bearing the name of Nana Kwabena Amoah, who is currently in jail in the United States of America. But again, the EOCO statement again makes the point that this investigation may go beyond the vehicle, because the investigation forms part of a larger investigation regarding possible co-conspirators in a $4 million crime which occurred in the U.S. involving some Ghanaians and recoveries of the proceeds of crime. And so we are live from the EOCO head office. Let me bring you some sound bites of fans of Shatta Wale who are still hoping that they will see their leader.
How long are you going to be here?
Today, I decided to open my shop because I'm a professional barber. I'm doing my own job. But how can Shatta Wale buy a stolen car? Me, I don't understand. Do you understand my point? Are you getting me? You can't buy a stolen car because it has been shipped. It has been shipped. It has been shipped, so you can't buy a stolen car.
But EOCO says he's unable to identify who sold him the car. Why?
What you people, the way you are dragging the issue is very, very, very
I am not dragging the issue. That's what EOCO is saying.
The way all we want to say is that we beg they should free our SM board. We beg they should free our SM card.
Right, so we'll cross over to EOCO when we have something from Kenneth Jesse. But in a related development, Ghana's Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, says stolen vehicles shipped into the country are fueling organized crime, but some car dealers are accusing the very institution meant to stop it of being part of the challenge.
The Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, as part of its mandate, investigates and prosecutes transnational organized crime. One of the areas of focus is the smuggling of stolen vehicles into the country. Syndicates reportedly steal cars from abroad and ship them into Ghana.
According to EOCO, vehicles such as Honda CR-V series, Ford F-150, Range Rover and Dodge models are among the most trafficked into the country. But some car dealers and vehicle owners who prefer to remain anonymous are pointing fingers at EOCO itself and national security.
The whole thing is car if US and Canada. Na car if because you bring our machines in port. Or one was a car is stolen home. But car back Ghana be do Ghana national security force say car is stolen.
National security and EOCO are to blame for the stolen vehicles in the country. How come they are unable to tell at the port that these cars are stolen until after they are on the market or even after they have been bought? It's unfair and unacceptable.
So I say, na me me car about tomabo, me fit tomabo na ba fie, me twa butewie na obi kwabra na so apie fi get na no na upi awse macho. E that's why car is stolen car. Ye fa ko wioko. Wa hwa mani pa na twa butewie no. Na car no se car stolen no. E ba de say na tell you go to it no. E ba tomabo si oba 2 si 1 week no. One cock se car we stolen ti ma ye ma yenyi man pa no.
Ipe penny for no omudi abro. Because one you could for national security for. There's no way say car ebe fia brocha be drew Ghana ship abe drew Ghana say omunye inspection ye bibia ansana nyuma be drew abroche so be ship car ho.
I've realized our leaders aren't helping us. There's no way EOCO and national security won't inspect cars which arrive to the country from abroad. All these cars undergo the necessary checks. So if they are stolen cars in the country, then it's the fault of EOCO and national security. Why would they wait for us to clear cars and sell them before saying it's stolen?
While EOCO insists it is clamping down on the illicit trade, the allegations raise questions about trust and accountability in the very institutions tasked to fight organized crime.
Right, so let's try to understand what the situation is. Eddie Akron is president of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, and he joins me on the line. Mr. Akron, good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Good afternoon. Just by way of correction, I'm the immediate past president, not the president.
Great. Thank you for the correction. But this matter we have on our hands, I mean, there's so much talk around stolen vehicles, Ghana being the destination, yet the vehicles went through all the processes from the port of entry to the documentations that one needed to show, to the payment of duties, exit to the port, and now it's on the road. And then whilst you're using on the road, you are stopped by custom officials, and then you are told that the vehicle is a stolen vehicle. I mean, help me understand how this is possible when the vehicle went through all the steps.
Okay, so I have a certain limitation. The limitation is that I cannot speak for the actions at the port of, this part where it came from. But here, look, the processes are quite straight. I mean, once the car it is manifested, there is a which says the item system. So the client who goes to see an agent, the agent just puts through all the details of the vehicle in the item system. Customs determines the value of the vehicle. Duties are paid, and then you go on to release the car from the shipping line. You go to the port where customs does the inspection of the vehicle and ascertains that what you declared is just what has been seen. And then the release is done, and then you go back on the road. You can go on the road and register the vehicle. Now, as it comes to the fact that once it gets on the road, and then you are arrested and, they say that there's a stolen vehicle, it could only be from a tip-off from the country of export that they have found out that, this vehicle was maybe stolen and then, stuck into a container and sent to Ghana. As it is, I mean, they cannot inspect. There are thousands of containers leaving the countries of export. They cannot inspect all of them. So at some point, they might find some, they might not find some. So I think when they find out or reports are made to the duty agencies in the export country that vehicles have been, stolen, then they maybe track them and find out, okay, this vehicle went on this vessel and this is the destination. So I guess here, in-house, the processes are quite strict.
But again, I mean, I'm curious to know. I mean, the documentaries we've seen, I mean, depicting how vehicles are stolen, especially in the U.S. and Canada, and then they are shipped to Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
It usually doesn't come with the original documents. So how are they able to clear it at the port?
I'm saying I cannot speak to it because for a vehicle to be cleared in this port, then it should be manifested. So as to how it gets on the manifest, I cannot speak to it because I don't know how that is done. I mean, the ship has a manifest. So if the ship manifest says that you have, a Toyota Corolla SX chassis number, which is a unique chassis number, it's a 17-character chassis number. If the manifest that the file, our customs have almost like a pocket. But at that point, so there is proof that this particular was going. Of course, I mean, some of the
But in the process, what is that role does a freight forwarder play?
The role that the freight forwarder plays?
Right. In this...
It's just the clearing bit, the customs brokerage bit. Because, of course, the importer does not know, he's not licensed to clear, to do customs business. So as the freight forwarder, I am the customs. So there is in the item on which I'm set. And then, done, the condition is done, go ahead, I will set up the line. I go to the final execution of the thing for confirmation.
We seem to be losing you gradually. I don't know if you can reposition yourself so we can hear you well. I asked because I wanted to be sure if your responsibility is to facilitate the clearance of the vehicle, what do you insist on in terms of getting to help your work go smooth?
All right. So the importer or the buyer comes to me as a freight forwarder. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so he comes to me as the freight forwarder. Now, these are the documents that I need from him. I need a bill of lading confirming that he owns the vehicle. I need a title of the vehicle confirming that he owns the title for the vehicle. Once I have that, I go into the ICOM system and then put in the details of the vehicle.
Right.
Okay, now that is the process. That's the declaration I do to customs. Now, once this goes to customs looks at it. They look at the chassis number and everything, and then based on that, they value the vehicle. They have a unique way of valuing vehicles in Ghana. Once the valuation is done, they will send me what they call the customs classification and valuation report, which tells you how much exactly the exact amount of duty you have to pay. Once that is paid, you go back to customs, at the port. Then they will do a physical examination of the car. First, to confirm the chassis number that you have stated, and also to check other things, whether the special features you said was on the car are all true. Once that is done, then they release it to take the car away.
So is it possible that in this process that you just walked us through, a stolen vehicle can go through without detection?
Okay, so technically, yes, it can, because what customs does there is not to check whether the car was stolen or not. Once the manifest says that this car came through, from this export country, and it's declared on the manifest, customs have no reason to say that the vehicle is stolen.
Okay.
Unless there is some, whatever. There's been a special report to them that, hey, track this car is been stolen and there's something, the manifest, it wasn't manifested as such. You understand?
So Mr. Kron, where can we place the blame in this rather unfortunate situation that has given Ghana a bad name?
I think I'm put the put blame, because dealing is not bad, but this morning is the wrong. But when we take the thing from Ghana, there is a sense that all containers are for both trips. You understand? And so I find it difficult that it is not detected at that other end. You understand? Because we scan every single container for export. Of course, we don't want to give the country a bad name also. So let's say somebody runs through our port, it's going to give us a bad name. So every container is scanned. So coming from that end, if there is some negligence and the container has not been scanned, then it's easy to slip through. The difficulty also is, how they get it on the manifest. You understand? So that is another matter. It is difficult to find, squarely putting the blame on some particular agency.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Idi Akron is the past president of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders. Let me bring in Stephen Atu. He's Director of Corporate Affairs at the Driver Vehicle Licensing Authority, and he joins us. Mr. Atu, good afternoon, and welcome to the Pulse.
Good afternoon. Hope you are doing well.
I'm great. So, we've got on our hands a matter that has captured the attention of the entire nation. It's about stolen vehicles and the negative reportage it is giving Ghana on the global stage. Now, DVLA also is part of the chain in terms of getting the car cleared to drive on our roads, license, and then the roadworthiness is established. What role can DVLA play to deal with this stolen vehicle tag that is becoming a national embarrassment?
Okay, thank you very much, and good afternoon to your viewers and listeners. DVLA as an authority simply has a mandate to ensure the registration of all vehicles that come into this country. So from the port, you are quite aware that we have registration offices at the ports of entry where register any vehicle that comes in. Just recently we spoke about the introduction of the stickers, which is by way of identifying any vehicle that comes into the country. But the point must be clearly that DVLA equally as an institution or as an authority, there's no DVLA vehicle that has not been custom. So we, as an authority, located at a port, when an individual comes and gives an indication that, look, I've brought the number of vehicles I want to clear at the port. Now, the clearance is done with customs. DVLA has no rule in that regard.
Right.
Now, the person at DVLA, that is, which indicator has cleared or had to be able to take the vehicles away. And that is where now, a person who has not
Mr. Atu, we are losing you. We are losing you. This is a very important conversation. If you can kindly reposition yourself so we can hear you quite clearly.
I'm just sitting in the office. I don't know.
Great. I think it's better now.
Is it better?
Yeah, please go on.
Good. So what I'm saying is that, so for an individual who wants to register a vehicle, you walk to DVLA. In fact, in all our offices where vehicle registrations take place, there's a customs office. So before you come to us, you would have gone through the customs clearance and come to us with an indication, a clearance from customs indicating that this vehicle is cleared with us with all the documentation and record. You can go ahead and register the vehicle in the name of the individual.
Right.
That's how we come in. So it becomes very difficult to say that DVLA can spot a stolen vehicle at the point of registration. But what we can assure you of is the fact that because now we've introduced a system that allows us to register a vehicle in the name of the importer at the port, when a person is doing a transfer, there's a way of tracing to know that this vehicle has been bought by this particular individual from this importer. And so at the end point of registration, we are able to tell who eventually becomes the final registrant of that vehicle. So if an institution comes to us and says that, look, we've gotten a report of an indication that a vehicle of this description has entered into our jurisdiction, who owns the vehicle? Based on that institutional level, DVLA is able to declare to show that per our records, this is the person in whose name this vehicle was registered. It is also possible to tell which importer has brought in that vehicle at the point of entry at the port. That is where we come in. So as for that mandate, when it gets to that point of DVLA helping to know who owns a particular vehicle that has become a subject of theft that is being reported from an international, from another country, DVLA will be handy to deal with it.
So basically, as you speak, once there is a custom clearance form, it leaves you with no choice than to register the vehicle.
DVLA really has no other means of verification of a vehicle that comes in, apart from what customs gives us.
Yes. But I'm curious to know, because this is your area of expertise. I mean, we've spoken about how the steps that one must go through at the port. We've just been educated by the freight forwarder, and that custom basically is interested sometimes in the revenue and other matters relating to it. Therefore, it becomes quite difficult unless there's a report, pointing to a stolen vehicle that may have landed in Ghana. It will be difficult for us to trace and apprehend.
So the point is, even in Ghana, even inland, if a person commits a crime and the crime is not reported, it's difficult for anybody to know that a crime has been committed. That's the whole thing. So the same way, it is possible for a person to steal a vehicle from, say, Canada.
Right.
And to the extent that the car owner from whom the car is stolen has not reported, it becomes difficult for you to know that this car is a stolen vehicle. Now, how did they even get the clearance to place that vehicle on ship to land on our shores to be cleared here? So the only way, so I think sometimes we should not be overly dramatic over some of the concerns that are being raised. But the point is, if the concern that is being raised about stolen cars coming into Ghana, there's no way of identifying those vehicles that have come into the country, then that becomes a subject of concern. But when those reports come, like I told you, from somewhere May this year, when we started introducing the DP sticker,
right,
it comes with enhanced features that enables us to know which importer has brought in this vehicle and which garage this vehicle is for 14 days. Then you take on the DP sticker. In fact, if we give you a DP plate today, it is scannable. When you scan it, you have certain details on it that will help you to be able to identify where the vehicle is and who owns the vehicle. And then finally, when it is registered, we give it a number plate, be it a commercial vehicle or a private vehicle. You have registered it in the name of an individual who now can be called the true owner of that vehicle. So if it becomes a matter of concern that, look, this particular vehicle with this chassis number has entered your jurisdiction and it is a stolen vehicle, we are able to tell you that, okay, so far this vehicle is in the possession of this particular individual, which will enable that tracing, and then the security officers can deal with that subject matter.
Finally, before I let you go, Mr. Tuso, the EOCO statements reference specific vehicles. For example, the Honda CR-V, the Ford 150, the Dodge, the Lexus. Does it mean that vehicles of this nature, when they come to your office, undergo some level of scrutiny before the documentation is given?
Okay, I think from the onset, I set it out clearly. Vehicles, in fact, in identifying vehicles usually goes beyond the make, the Honda CR-V. Every vehicle has a chassis number. They have unique identification numbers that you can use to identify those vehicles.
Right.
Now, like I said, an officer of DVLA sitting in Adentam, where you drive a vehicle and say you want to register, has no means of indicating whether the vehicle is a stolen vehicle or a vehicle that has been rightfully bought. Because before that person gets on to register the vehicle, he has gotten a clearance certificate from customs that says that this vehicle, we've cleared it officially, it entered the country officially, we've cleared it officially, go ahead and register it. So if there is anything that would help to stop it, it's either customs moves ahead of the clearance, so they can stop and impound the vehicle.
Okay.
Or If it goes beyond custom and then they clear the vehicle and the vehicle is registered, the record of the final owner of that vehicle is with DVLA. Institutional communication will be easily established for those security agencies to know who is in possession of those vehicles, who even is the importer of that vehicle. Maybe that importer can also be able to tell from whom he bought the vehicle and brought it into the country.
But is there a working relationship or some protocol that exists between, for example, DVLA, Custom, and EOCO, now that we've got this matter on our hand?
There are protocols. And I'm sure that now that this matter is becoming a subject of concern, there'll be a further engagement from the very top of these institutions, and we'll find a solution to it.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Seminar. To a set of corporate affairs with the Vehicle Driver Licensing Authority, DVLA. And of course, let's stay a little longer on this matter. I'll also take you back to the EOCO head office because Shatta Wale is still working hard to meet his bail condition, 10 million Ghana cedis and 2 sureties. Now, the director of the West Africa Regional Center for CACS International, Apia Akusi Adomako, has also been sharing his perspective on this development. Listen.
Before a car gets into the country, the manifest of the car gets to customs even before. And if you can even pay your duties before the car gets to the Ghanaian waters and dock at the port. However, customs is not interested in this because customs work is largely revenue collection. They don't have any mandate to check whether the car has been stolen or the car is a matter of investigation. But now that these things have started to emerge, maybe customs in collaboration with EOCO and other law enforcement agencies like the Ghana Police Interpol may be able to share the database of all cars that are the investigations, cars that have been stolen with the customs so that those things can easily be flagged. We thank God that now we live in an electronic age. So if a car is flagged by entering the VIN number or chassis number, customs will be able to see it. And once the car gets to the port, they may invite whoever imported the car and put that person in question, and also whoever also exported the car into the country at the other side can also be reported to the police.
I think that's the Ghana hub. Why has Ghana become one of the main hubs for stolen cars? I mean, you've mentioned that customs largely they're interested in revenue collection, but beyond that, why has Ghana become a hub?
I mean, there's a lot of reasons why Ghana has become a hub, and one I would say is that Ghanaians have the taste for latest cars. Sometimes to surprise you that when we drive through the principal street of Accra, you'll find latest cars, 2025, 2020, even 2026 cars that were launched in the US 2 months ago. You'll find similar cars in Ghana. So Ghanaians have a taste for this. And also because of the laxity in the system, because if people can bring stolen cars into the system without being detected, it gives them the incentive to do more. So I think we need to also enhance our gatekeeping to make sure that our country is doesn't become the junkyard of stolen vehicles, because it also sends a bad signal at the other side for us.
Okay, but let's look at the other side of the conversation from a consumer rights perspective. How can an ordinary Ghanaian really protect themselves from unknowingly purchasing stolen vehicles? Can we really protect ourselves?
Yes, but the fundamental law is that whenever you buy a good, whether in good faith, and the thing is a stolen product, even if you pay the full price of it, you do not acquire the full title. That is a legal principle which has been there for more than 2,000 years. And so as a consumer, whenever you are buying something, it is very, very important that you ask relevant questions. First, what is the selling price of the car? Let's say, for example, you've seen 2025 Lexus RS 350. The manufacturer sells the car in the US for $65,000 US. and duty in Ghana could cost about $35,000, bringing to about $100,000 or so. And if someone brings a car to you selling for, let's say, 500,000 Ghana cedis, you should be asking yourself whether that person uncle owns the Toyota company or what. And so we need to be careful. First, one flag thing is the price. That is number one. Number two, you can also go online to check the vehicle's number, the VIN. The VIN lets you know, the US and most countries, by entering the VIN number, you're able to get some information.
Right, so that's some advice for you if you are thinking of buying a vehicle. Perhaps take some extra steps to establish the genuineness of the transaction that you are about to enter into. And we are keeping an eye on this matter because as we speak, Charles Niyama Mensah, also known as Shatta Wale, is still in the custody of EOCO. He was granted bail at 9 p.m. yesterday. 10 million Ghana cedis, 2 sureties, yet to meet these conditions. His lawyers and his managers are working around the clock to get these conditions met so that he can have his temporary freedom until this case is finally determined. But his supporters, Dave Massava, the EOCO head office, will take you back there as and when there's a development on this particular matter. But you can send me your text message via social media handle. What do you make of what is happening now? And on X Spaces, on YouTube, and of course on Facebook. Now, let's take a short break. When we return, we've got Health Minister and some other individuals who the Health Minister says are just interested in fomenting trouble. We have details for you after that. Welcome back, and of course, I will soon share some of your comments on the Shatta Wale matter. But let's deal with health now, because the Minister in charge, Kwabena Minta-Kando, has issued a strong warning to individuals who attacked health workers, urging them to desist immediately. Now, addressing the media on developments following the alleged assault on some nurses at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital last Sunday, Mr. Kando expressed concern over the rising tension within the facility.
On Monday morning, I sent a delegation to Ridge Hospital to ascertain the situation. When the delegation came up, upon debriefing, I realized that I had to follow up. And ladies and gentlemen, let me state this, that I have the health workers of this country at heart. And so any attempt by any individual or any group of people to try to incite the health professionals against government, pretending he cares more than us, is unfortunate. And we must stop that. It's an avoidable tension we must avoid. It doesn't help the sector. If indeed you are a practicing health professional in the sector, it doesn't help the sector. And so, when the delegation came back, I had to follow up. I was in the company with the Deputy Director General and other directors of the ministry. We joined the medical superintendent at the Ridge Hospital, and I visited the victims. After going around, we had a closed-door meeting to discuss the issues, not insults. One, how to look at beefing on the internal security, staffing issues. So after the closed-door meeting, I came out to address the press to categorically condemn the physical attack. And that is the most important aspect.
Well, the minister also voiced his dissatisfaction with certain groups who he said had criticized his handling of the matter, particularly the Registered Nurses and Midwives Association.
Let me at this point reiterate to the whole country that irrespective of the level of provocation at any health facility in this country, nobody, irrespective of your status in society, absolutely nobody has the right to attack any health professional in this country. That is the gravamen of the issue. No diversionary tactics about handshaking. That is what we must concentrate on, to send a clear signal that our health professionals working at the various health facilities are safe. And so after the engagement with the management, when I pulled out of the wards, then in fact, in the engagement with the management, I made it clear to them that I had listened to their side of the story. And therefore, as a minister, I will also listen to the other side of the story. And I then constituted a committee to look into the matter, bring out recommendations for implementation. A lawyer, a nurse, a medical doctor, an auditor, an HR person to go into the matter. Now, when I pulled out, my attention was drawn to a gentleman called Ralph, who was at the center of the controversy. And so he was working towards us as a group. The medical director was with me. The deputy director general was also with me. Then I asked, why did you do this, gentleman? When I asked, most of you were there. I mean, the press, you were there. So you can attest to what I'm saying. You were there with me. When I asked him, the gentleman then stretched his hand, shaking me and trying to whisper something into my ears. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, should I push the guy that don't whisper anything into my ears? Should I snub him? Should I shout at him? Even if that guy has been prosecuted and sentenced to life imprisonment, and he stretches his hand to shake me, as a minister, as a public officer, I have the duty to stretch and greet him. So let us not reduce the fact that I shook hands with him does not mean that I should stop any measure or any steps that the ministry or government will take to unravel the situation.
Well, still on this matter, Mr. Akando is also reviewed that 10 million cedis is spent annually on medical negligence alone, with 3 of such cases currently pending before the Attorney General's office.
Medical negligence. Anytime I hear that, I clench. We spend not less than, even in some cases, one facility, not less than 10 million Ghana cedis on medical negligence. Maybe you don't know. As a country, we don't have the money to buy the equipment, but we are spending so much. As I speak to you now, the cases on my table within this week are 3 that Attorney General has written to me to provide responses. Medical negligence. So it's a major issue that we are dealing with. So there are things we are discussing. I cannot put everything in the public domain at the moment. And at the appropriate time, we may address you on medical negligence. It's a monster rearing its head that we must deal with appropriately.
All right, so that's the health minister. Away from that, the Public Accounts Committee has ordered for the arrest of a former employee who fled the country after going on a study leave with pay. Ms. Yasewa Jan has been captured in the Auditor General's report to have been granted a study leave with pay amounting to 120,000 cedis with promise to return and serve a bond term. But the report notes that Ms. Jan has since vacated post. The Public Accounts Committee says she must be arrested to refund the money.
And when did she leave the country?
Honorable, our checks shows that she left the country about more than a year ago, but they didn't give us the exact month that she left the country.
More than a year ago. Do you have any idea where she's gone to?
Exactly.
Either US or...
They should be.
Mr. Chair, we were told that you've gone to the US.
She's gone to the US?
That is so.
Oh, Master, just get the police. They will find her in the US. Yes, get the police. Get with our foreign affairs also. Let them know. She will probably go and renew her passport. And they will let her know that she owes this amount. Get the police involved. The government cannot pay for people to go for steady leave and then when they finish, they abscond. That is not fair. And the guarantor over here too, let the police visit him. Let the police visit his house. You have the number, you have his name, and I'm sure you have more information on the form that the guarantor signed. If I go to guarantee for somebody, make sure that person is going to pay. That is what we call corruption. It's not only when they hear corruption, it's politicians. Is that man a politician? Is he a member of parliament? Is he a government appointee? Look at what he is doing. Don't get the police involved. And then let us know, let the committee know within 30 days.
Well, even though some 3 ministers were scheduled to appear today, sitting has been adjourned, and this is why.
We have the Labour Commission, which has all the duties of ensuring that single issues like these are handled effectively. So I have called a meeting with them, and they would look at it more comprehensively and advise on what next they will need to strengthen their own capacity to make sure the whole country is covered. The Labour Commission has requested that it will be of great importance if we can have regional offices which will look at it comprehensively throughout the country. So we don't have situations where there will be a situation which is out of reach with our duty to individual workers.
And that's the Employment Minister, Rashid Purple, on what steps the Labour Commission is taking to ensure workplace safety, and that is in relation to the alleged assaults on some health professionals at the Ridge Hospital. We'll also be taking you live to the Manhyia Palace, where the Vice President is leading a government delegation to commiserate with Asantehemaa on the loss of the Queen Mother. The NDC is also leading, the NDC National Chair, Johnson Asiedun Ketia, is also leading a party delegation to the place. Former President John Nana Adanko Akufo-Addo, former President John Kufuor there. We'll take you live there. Our correspondents are on standby to bring you the very latest as the Asantehemaa sits in state to receive mourners as they observe the 1 week of the passing of the Asantehemaa. Before we do that though, President Mahama has cautioned that Africa's surging youth population could pose a serious threat if governments do not act swiftly to create jobs. Participating in a public-private partnership dialogue in Japan held on the sidelines of the Tokyo International Conference on African Development, TICAD, he urged governors to explore the creative sector and emerging technologies to create jobs rather than the over-dependence on traditional path to job creation in agriculture, manufacturing, and the other sectors. He stressed that industries such as arts, renewable energy, and digital enterprise are proven to be more effective at generating employment.
It's not. And so it's changed the face of agriculture. It's changing the face of agriculture in our country. Apart from that, the creative sector and youth startups are adding jobs faster than the traditional sectors. And so if you take the creatives, renewable energy and those spaces, they add about 4 jobs before you can create 1 job in agriculture or manufacturing. And so investing in that sector means that we can absorb more of the myriad of young people who are coming out of school. If we decide to concentrate on manufacturing and industry, Africa needs to turn up about 12 to 15 million jobs a year. You cannot create that in manufacturing and industry and agriculture alone, but the rate at which the creatives and digital space add jobs is much faster than the traditional economy. So it's a place that we must invest as governments in order that we can absorb more of the youth. We know that we say the youth bulge or the huge youth population in Africa is an advantage, but if we do not create enough jobs fast enough to absorb those young people coming out, then it will become a gunpowder keg and it could consume us.
A little longer on President Mahama because he's been also talking about other matters from the Japan ongoing program. But let me cross over to the Malaysia Palace now, where the 1 week observation of the passing of the Asantehemaa is taking place. Anabachi Yadom joins me from the palace grounds where the funeral service is underway.
All right, so we are live at the Malaysia Palace, Jabrim. Is where we are having the 1 week observation of the late Asantehemaa Nana Kunedu Yiadom III. And in your shot, you can see the Vice President leading government delegation. That's Professor J. Nana Opoku-Agyeman. We also have the NDC's National Chairman, Johnson Esiedu Inketia, who is also seated with the Vice President. We also have the Chief of Staff, that is Julius Debra, who is also seated with the Vice President, Professor J. Nana Opoku-Agyeman. And then we have the General Secretary of the NDC, that is Fifi Fiavi-Kwete. Other members of the National Democratic Congress and then government have arrived there. The Ashanti Regional Minister, Dr. Frank Amoako-Hine, is seated also with the Vice President. And also from the for the NDC side. On the MPP side, Elton, we have the former President of the Republic, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and we have the former Chief of Staff, Freeman Opare. We have the regional chairman of the MPP, Chairman Entry Bosiako, Bernard Entry Bosiako, Chairman Wuntumi. The former Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and his wife, the former Second Lady, Hajia Samira Bawumia, have all arrived at the Malaysia Palace, observing the 1 week of the late Asantehemaa Nana Kunedu Yiadom III. You can see tight security over here at the Malaysia Palace. The Asantehene is seated and receiving greetings at the moment. So far, we are waiting for the Vice President to walk through to where the Asantehene is seated so that the Vice President would exchange pleasantries with the Asantehene. But before that is done, before she even took her seat, the Vice President went to the setup for the Book of Condolence to write out her tribute to the late Asantehemaa Nana Kunedu Yiadom. She went there with the NDC delegation, the former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and the MPP have also done same. And so, Elton, that is a rundown here at the Malaysia Palace. We are celebrating the life of the late Asantehemaa Nana Kunedu Yiadom III, who passed on earlier this month of August. This is the 14th Asantehemaa of the Ashanti Kingdom. She happens to be she happens to be the 14th Asantehemaa and passed at the age of 98. She took over from her mother, Nana Efwakobi Sewa Ampim, in the year 2017, and so she sat on the stool for 8 good years until her demise earlier this year. Now, this has become some way, somehow, some form of history for the people of the Ashanti Kingdom, but in history that comes in sadness and sorrow. And so this one is being observed in a very solemn mood by the Ashanti people. And so over here we have the dignitaries continue to troop in. The over 60 paramounties are seated here at the Malaysia Palace. We have the Nairi coming in. We have the chiefs from Ahafo region, the Bunu region, the northern region, Savannah region, northeast region. All of them coming to pay their respects to the late Asantehemaa Nana Kunedu Yiadom. And so you can see the paramount chiefs, some of them seated gallantly here. As we observe the 1 week observation, we have all of the chiefs, the over 60 paramounties are all seated here. I can see the Mansum Kwantahene and then the Mansum Kwantahemaa are seated here at the Malaysia Palace. That is the Mansum Kwantahene and then the Mansum Kwantahemaa seated here, observing all of it for the 1 week of the late Asantehemaa Nana Konedu Yiadom III. And that is what has drawn thousands of people to the Mensia Palace this afternoon, Elton. The event started at exactly 12 p.m. midday, and as at now 4:09, it is still taking place. The Queen Mothers and the Chiefs all seated here, clad in red, black and brown, the mourning colors of the Ashanti Kingdom, signifying grief, sorrow, and a lot more. Some of them have lost their mother, some of them have lost their sister, and for the Ashanti Kingdom, we have lost a counselor and one that plays a very significant role in the Ashanti hierarchy. She plays the counseling role and the advisory role all together. That is the role of the late Asantehemaa, Nana Konedu Yiadom. And her role is so much important to the extent that at every point in time when an Asantehemaa passes on, it rests upon her to elect or select in accordance or with the guidance of the Council of Elders, a new Asantehemaa, one who will take over to occupy the golden stool. That tells you the significant role that a Queen Mother or a Queen Mother plays in the Ashanti hierarchy. This is why it is very much important to climax even her 1 week observation in this grand style. It is a blend of culture and modernity over here at the Mensia Palace. We can see the umbrellas in different colors, different shapes, with different symbols. Small, huge, medium, all of it with its meaning. Some telling you that indeed, Ahimfochinie, Ebididi, Ebiechi, just as it is said in the Akan language. And so, Queen Mothers all coming in, some of them seated beneath their huge umbrellas, some seated beneath their small umbrellas, some even without umbrellas at all, and they all have meanings. And so all that the people you see here are the ones closer to the Asantehemaa, most of them forming part of the EOCO clan, the clan that the Asantehemaa and the Asantehemaa belong to. So that's how you see all of these chiefs here. They tell us that they are mourning their daughter, their sister, and their mother. It tells you that it is very, very much important. They hold the Asantehemaa in high esteem. And so this day is very, very much important. And in the Ashanti Kingdom, your 1 week observation is a significant step when you pass, because it tells us the role, or it forms part of the culture that we have here. And so now the Vice President, Professor Jane Nana Oboku-Agyeman, is coming to pay or exchange pleasantries with the Asantehemaa. You can see the regional Ashanti Regional Minister, Dr. Frank Amwakwene, the regional mayor, Richard Wedu, the NDC chairman seated, adjoining the delegation, the vice president herself, Professor Jane Nana Oboku-Agyeman, going in to pay homage or exchange pleasantries with His Royal Majesty Otumfuo Osei Tutu II. And when this is being done, everything would have to cease. All form of activities would have to come to a halt. The Vice President is joined by the Inspector General of Police and the Regional Police Commander, joined by the National Security Operatives, to come and represent His Excellency, the President of the Republic, John Dramani Mahama. And so the Vice President, Professor Jane Nana Oboku-Agyeman, Her Excellency, that is what you see, going to exchange pleasantries with the Asantehemaa leading government delegation. It is a colorful event here at the Mensia Palace, Jabrim, the forecourt itself. A huge ceremony, 1 week observation held in honor of the Asantehemaa Nana Konedu Yiadom III. The Chief of Staff, Julius Debra, is also here as Chief of Staff at the Presidency. We also have ministers of states, members of parliament from both parties or both sides of parliament, the minority and the majority, all joining the Asantehemaa in observing the 1 week of the Asantehemaa. I have spotted ministers, the Minister for Works and Housing, I've spotted the Ashanti Regional Minister, the Minister for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. The Ahafo Regional Minister is also here. We have the Ahafo Regional Minister, the Honorable Charity, is also among the delegation that have come in with the Vice President. So you're watching the Vice President, Professor J. Nano Pokwajiman, exchanging pleasantries with the Asantehemaa. She has come in to mark this very important day with the Asantehemaa President to exchange pleasantries. All the functionaries joining the Vice President would exchange pleasantries with the Asantehemaa. The Chief of Staff at the Office of the President, Julius Deborah, is also here. As I mentioned earlier, the NPP side had the former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the former Chief of Staff Freeman Opare, the former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and his spouse Samira Bawumia, the former Vice Presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, who happens to also come from the Mensha Palace, Dr. Matthew Boko Prempeh, is also in here. We have the former Minister of Education, Dr. Oseya Weduchum, the Regional Chairman of the NPP, Bernard Entubo Siako. All of them are in. The British High Commissioner is also part of the dignitaries who've come to mourn with the Asantehemaa. The Inspector General of Police, not to forget the Ghana Journalists Association, led by its President Albert Jumfor, have also come in to exchange pleasantries with the Asantehemaa. The Ghana National Union of Ghana Students, NUCS, have also been represented. The Ghana Bar Association have also come in to exchange pleasantries with the Asantehemaa. High commissioners, judges, paramounts, chiefs have all exchanged pleasantries with the Asantehemaa. And now it is the time for Professor J. Nano Pokwajiman, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, exchanging pleasantries with the Asantehemaa. And so this is very significant in the custom and tradition of Ashanti. The 1 week observation takes lead, a possible .ea, and then the funeral rites itself, the final funeral rites itself, is likely to be announced today. Customarily, it is done at the 1 week observation, and so we are expecting the announcement to be made before the close of this event. Dignitaries come in not just to exchange pleasantries, but they also come in to give out their token to support the funeral of the Asantehemaa. And so all the people you see here are mourners, sympathizers who've been driven from far and near to join the Asantehemaa, mark the 1 week observation of the late Asantehemaa Nana Konadu Yadom III, the 14th Asantehemaa of the Ashanti Kingdom.
We now welcome Honorable Dr. Brian Achiapo.
We have the former Member of Parliament for Asin Central, also Kennedy Ohene Japan. We have the Honorable Brian Echampong, also part of the NPP's delegation. They are all going to pay their homage or exchange their pleasantries with His Royal Majesty Otumfuo Osei Tutu II. And I can tell you that we have thousands of people all over the streets of Menchia, thousands of them inside the inner perimeter, and even thousands here at Jabrim. The numbers here are overwhelming, hence the tight and heavy security that you see here. And so, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's presence is being acknowledged here at the grounds, and his contribution is being announced as well. As I was indicating earlier, thousands of people are here. This is the forecourt of the Menchia Palace, Jabrim, where you're watching the 1 week observation of the late Asantehemaa Nana Konadu Yiadom III. The Inspector General of Police done exchanging pleasantries with the Asantehemaa. Others would follow in same style. Nananom are expected to remain seated until the Asantehemaa himself moves off his seat. That is when we'll bring the event to a close. The IGP's contribution acknowledged. Members of Parliament's contributions are being acknowledged. The Vice President, Professor J. Nano Pukwajiman, her presence has been acknowledged alongside her delegation representing His Excellency the President John Dramani Mahama. You're watching the 1 week observation of the late Asantehemaa Nana Konadu Yiadom live here on Joy News. Live scenes of the funeral observation. Former and current ministers of states are all seated here for this event. 98 years of age. She took over in 2017 as the Asantehemaa when her mother, Nana Efeakobi Sewampim II, passed. In real life, she was known as Nana Ama Konadu, and during the time when she had to take over as Asantehemaa, she went to tap onto the stool name Nana Konadu Yiadom III. From 2017, she played the counseling role and the advisory role due her as Asantehemaa, significant in the custom and tradition of Ashanti Kingdom. She did all that customarily for 8 years until her demise earlier this month of August. Nana Konadu Yadom III played a very significant role in championing women empowerment, supporting the Asantehema's education fund, and empowering young girl education. Nana Konadu Yadom III will be remembered for all that she played. All the role, significant ones, one that was obvious and that one that was not even obvious. One that was done indoor and one that was done outdoor is what she'll be acknowledged for. You can see chiefs, queen mothers, all seated here at Jabrim. And also at the palace of the Queen Mother, we have
Welcome back. Before we wrap up, let's deal with some few other stories. Education think tank, including IFES and Africa Education Watch, are questioning both the effectiveness and fairness of the policy issued by the West African Examination Council to cancel the entire results of students caught engaging in examination malpractices. The West African Examination Council yesterday issued a strong caution to candidates sitting for the 2025 exam, warning that anyone found cheating risks losing their entire results. According to WAEC, heightened measures are in place this year to curb misconduct, including collusion, impersonation, and other irregularities. But not everyone is convinced this will work. Education think tank Africa Education Watch argues that while the directive may sound tough, enforcement by WAEC has been inconsistent. Let's hear from the Executive Director of Education Watch and IFES, both of whom are calling on WAEC they are calling the decision into question.
I think it's a good decision to impose stiffer sanctions on perpetrators of examination malpractice. There is one thing to announce the sanctions and another thing to enforce it to serve as a necessary deterrent. But it is important that we walk the talk, and the extent to which the information gets to students before the examination will go a long way to change attitudes and behaviors during WASI.
There is a code of conduct document from WAEC that clearly espouses all these things that he's saying. So it is not something new that WAEC is bringing up. It is something that has been with the examination body over the years. In fact, the document that I'm referring to was revised in 2023, so just 2 years ago, and it's on the WAEC website. So anybody that would want to know the position of WAEC in terms of examination malpractices can clearly note that. Maybe what we have to do is to make it more public. Maybe before exams time, WAEC can sponsor some advertisements on the punishment for each act as has been espoused in the document.
But the head of public affairs at WAEC, John Kapi, says the examination, which began on August 2nd, have so far recorded no incident of violence in conflict-prone areas.
So far, I would say that everything has been on course. We've been able to dispatch no complaint from any quarters about any unable to access a question paper or being able to go and sit for the examination. So reports that we have received all indicate that all candidates who are registered for the examination have had the opportunity to write. So far, the process has been peaceful. The promise to increase security presence has actually worked. They have fulfilled that promise. We have security around all those areas. So all the candidates have been able to go and write the few papers that have been administered. So we pray that the same continues until the end of the entire process.
Well, before we go, European leaders representing Germany, France, Italy, the UK, the European Commission and NATO have returned home from Washington after meeting with Ukraine President Zelensky and US President Donald Trump at the White House this week. The EU leaders vowed to support Ukraine in peace negotiation with Russia. For more, we go to Deutsche Welle, where correspondent Emily Leshner is in Berlin. Emily, remind us what the main goal was for EU leaders that touched down in Washington, and by that measure, did they achieve what they went there to do?
Well, one of the key aims for Europe was getting Trump to agree to security guarantees for Ukraine should serious peace negotiations begin to take shape. And they did that. There aren't a lot of details yet about what these security guarantees would be, but Trump did say the U.S. could provide air support. And something else that the EU probably considered an achievement, or at the very least a favorable outcome of the meeting, is the fact that there was no mention of Ukraine conceding land to Russia as a prerequisite for starting peace talks, which is something that Putin has insisted on. He wants parts of Donetsk and Luhansk, key strategic territories that could give Russia a military advantage down the road. And Zelensky has repeatedly said that Ukraine is not willing to relinquish land for a peace deal. Now, a lot of people expected this to be a central point at the talks because it came up during Putin's meeting with Trump in Alaska last week. This is just days before Trump called this impromptu meeting with EU officials and with Zelensky. So in terms of measuring how successful Europe was at achieving their goals at the meeting, they walked in determined to show unity amongst themselves and solidarity with Ukraine. They did that. They wanted security assurances from Trump, which they got, at least for now.
Well, is there anything else about this meeting that was particularly notable?
Well, there were certainly some things happening in between the lines that observers picked up on. For example, the fact that the European leaders formed a semicircle around Zelensky when everyone was in the meeting room. That was interpreted as a signal of EU's protectiveness of Ukraine, because it appeared that the EU leaders were trying to shield Zelensky from any more uncomfortable interactions with Trump after the very heated meeting between Zelensky, Trump, and U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance back in February, where Trump and Vance accused Zelensky of not being grateful enough to the United States. This was the same visit where Trump criticized the army green casual wear that Zelensky has committed to putting on since the start of Russia's invasion. His wardrobe choice is regarded as a sign of solidarity with Ukrainian troops. But at this most recent meeting at the White House, Zelensky was in a button-down shirt and a tie, this time all in black instead of army green. And the change of dress was something that Trump picked up on and even commented on, although Kyiv has said that there was no meaning behind the change in Zelensky's clothing.
Well, again, the question for many is what now happens?
Well, after the meeting, the EU leaders met for a debrief to start fleshing out the details of the security commitments that they're willing to make. Even with a pledge of support from the U.S., Trump still expects Europe to be what he's calling the first line of defense. Trump has also now proposed a trilateral meeting between himself, Putin, and Zelensky, and that could be tricky to pull off for a few reasons. One is that there's an international criminal court warrant that's active for Putin, and so there are very few countries that would be able to host him without being forced to arrest him. Geneva has been proposed as a potential meeting point. This is after Switzerland said that it would grant Putin temporary immunity should he agree to attending peace talks. Politico reported yesterday that Budapest is being considered seriously as a location, but that might be putting the cart before the horse a bit, because it's not even really clear at the moment if Putin or Zelensky are willing to participate. Putin suggested a similar meeting back in May and then sent a delegation instead of attending himself when Zelensky demanded that a ceasefire was a prerequisite for peace talks. So there are a lot of ifs in the air, a lot of details that still need to be ironed out before a meeting can happen. And as German Chancellor Friedrich Merz puts it, things are about to get a lot more complicated.
Well, thank you very much, Emily Leshner, with our partners, DWT. Well, folks, that's our show for today. For more stories, log on to our website, MyJoy. 9.com. Whatever you're up to the hours ahead, I hope you're profitable. My name is Elton Broby. Have a good evening and take care.